Okay, and we're back. Um, a few quick things about the next, I believe, 3 parts. This is part 69, so part 70 and 71. For some reason, um, OBS didn't pick up my voice. It didn't pick up it any audio whatsoever. So it gives me a chance to have a look at what I'm doing and sort of explain bits and pieces. As the video goes on, and there's going to be more moments within the video where there is silences, but I guess that's okay. Um, I can look at this through a different lens and sort of talk to you about what's happening at this point. All right, so right now I figured out what ring that I had before. So I had the bracing knuckle ring to reduce the wear and tear on my weaponry. And at this point in time, I'm heading to Weaponsmith Ornifex in the Shaded Woods in order to get the Aleum Lois from the soul of Alsana, or Alsana, whatever you like to call her, in one of the last parts. I'm exemplifying the fact that I could attack that enemy on the bridge before when normally he's invisible because of the eye that we got in the uh, last DLC we did. And I'm going to head down here because this is where the door to Weaponsmith Ornifex is. But we got to fight off some of these basilisks so they don't petrify us. If we get petrified, it's game over. Quickly nab that item and open the door. Psych! Nope, don't have the key, and I cannot remember for the life of me where the key is. I think it's probably on one of those. What do you call them? The stone things, the petrified lion men. I reckon it's on one of those bozos. But I'm not about to start chewing away at all my fragrant branches of yore just to find out. I'd rather come back later on once I've done a bit of research on it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm heading to the closest bonfire to where the DLC is going to begin. And this is in the Iron Keep. If you picked up this bonfire, hopefully you did, otherwise you have to track all the way forward. Oh yeah, these things. They're really slow, but they hurt. But I mean, the old casual R1 spam usually sorts them out pretty well. Alright, so what we're doing is we're heading to the shrine. Each area of the DLC that we needed to access was accessible through a shrine. Now you can access the shrines even without the keys to get into the DLC areas. So we're heading to essentially the primal bonfire that happened after the old Iron King, which is just in that room. And then we're heading to the shrine. So the first shrine that we found was the shrine that took us to the Crown of the Sunken King, the Poison DLC, which was behind the Rotten. Then we went to the Shrine of Winter to get to the Frozen Aleum Lois. And now we've headed to the Iron Keep in order to get to this DLC here, Broom Tower. And these rooms along the left and the right are just like summon rooms where people can put down their sign. Even if they don't own the DLC or have the key, they can still help people out. And here we are, DLC. I just sort of take a moment to sort of soak in the aesthetic. I really, really appreciate this area. I love it. I don't know why. I think I just love it more than the rest. Most of what's happening within the game happens within the towers, or the DLC, I should say, happens within those two towers there. Um, so that's pretty much where we're headed. But before we get there, we have to pick up these key items right here, the smelter wedges. So these smelter wedges are useful in the sense that they are used to embed in these ashen idols, the sort of visage of Nadalia. Yeah, see, the ashen idols are of great consequence to Nadalia, who, having renounced her flesh and trust her very being to it. So basically it destroys an ashen idol. And those ashen idols either buff or damage you, or buff nearby enemies or damage you. And we definitely don't want that. Yeah, look, I just can't get over this area. It's so nice. Makes me think about what the world would have been like in this sort of DLC area if there hadn't been any like cataclysm or burning or anything like that. Just checking to see if maybe I can jump down there, but I don't think I can. I think I'll just die if I do. And we're at our first bonfire. So we're just going to proceed up here really quickly and bait out one of the idols and just give you a bit of an example as to what they do. So this one here causes a firestorm. And you jam a wedge in it to get rid of it. So we got a fragment of her soul. There are 12 fragments all up. And her soul is not complete until we get all 12 fragments. With the smelter wedges, you end up getting enough smelter wedges to get rid of all of them. However, you have to be careful because you don't want to use all your smelter wedges too quickly without having any by the time you get to the final boss. The game can get really complicated then if that's the case. To progress, we're just going to make our way down this tower that's currently inanimate. But I want to just make sure I haven't missed anything. Just search all those areas nearby to make sure. So I picked up that dexterity ring and I'm figuring out what it does, and lo and behold, boost dexterity. But I don't really care that much. So just making sure I make the carefully placed jumps so I don't plummet to my death. Can I make it over there? No. I wouldn't be able to jump and make it, I don't think. I was thinking about it. And right here the game sort of introduces us to how these enemies are going to sort of appear in our playthrough. And I'm just baffled here about how I got hit 3 times on the back swings. So the game will have enemies popping out of ash at random areas. And I can hear her whispering. So it's one of the ashen idols who's whispering, but I'm not quite sure what they're saying. So these guys tend to have the same sort of poise as the enemies in the previous DLC did. It's just incredibly difficult to stagger them. I'm just double checking that those small orange burrs do in fact increase fire defense, because they'll come in handy later. A +7 scythe that I will never use. We can see one of those enemies walking by there. So we'll get to them later on. Alright, so even though I've played this game and finished it quite a lot of times, and I love it, and I remember these areas, like I know about them, doesn't mean that I know them 100%. Just going to see if I can shoot this guy through here, and I cannot. Just because I really love this game and know it doesn't mean I can remember like the sequence of events that happens within these parts. So there's definitely some areas in which I just get confused. So I try to explore as much as I can and do what I can. Especially within this area, because I really love this area. I got really lucky with that heal. That did hit me. That was bullshit. So once again, the key to like getting through all these idiots is just to make sure that there's one at a time. So this guy didn't aggro, which I'm really happy to see. So it's just a matter of spamming the crap out of him. And there's nowhere where we can plunge there, so fuck that. So just going to open that gate real quick and then head into this room along the left. And nice, get ganked by some dudes. Alright, so there's two ways we can go, and it looks like the right way is the way to go. So I want to make sure that I can explore the left. Whenever we see these little ashen bodies, it's sort of handy to break them, just in case you get items from them. Thank God for these life gems. Borderline infinite healing. Alright, so we pick up the Lloyd's Talismans, of which I'll probably never use, even though I know you can use them on mimics. And we find this not so hidden door. I feel like that whenever I attack a chest, I'm always expecting a mimic, but I'm never ready for it. Like, I don't attack it more than once. I don't spam the crap out of it in case it is. That way half of its health is gone. I just kind of hit it, and then it's like, oh shit, it's a mimic. Also, these pots here have water in them, and that water increases your defense against fire. So something that might come in handy as time goes on. Who bloody knows? I got no idea where these pots are located exactly. thought I heard someone coming up behind me, but I think it was just the flames. Ah, these enemies. So these enemies here have an igneous powder in their barrels. And as a result, when they get hit with fire or they come into contact with fire, they what are you doing? Get away. They will do the following. Oh, missed. Boom! There we go. Look at that. So it's definitely handy to know. There's some, absolutely some stuff that we can sort of abuse later with these idiots. So yeah, those barrels pretty much always will have gunpowder in them. So you always just got to watch out for those sort of fire areas. Alright, and those enemies are quite strong, but the dumbass just burnt himself alive, so I don't have to worry about taking care of him too much. But these enemies are annoying. They have really powerful arrows, and their sword can stagger you quite easily. So I'm really happy he cooked himself alive on that thing. And there's an example of how we can abuse those barrel-carrying morons. And I'm just backing up because I definitely don't want him to fall down the hole. Means I'll have to verse two of them at once. These guys are fine one-on-one, despite the fact they take away an enormous amount of stamina. One-on-one they're pretty manageable. In fact, they're probably quite easy. They're slow so you can circle around them. But dealing with two or three at once is just a real annoying task. Oh, he's gonna throw a fireball at me. And he got me with it. He got me with another one. What was that, like, blast radius? That shit was insane. Okay, so we entered the main tower. We finally get a chance to get some respite.